Hello and welcome to your painting technique on canvas. And so we're going to talk a little bit about craftsmanship and how to get clean edges. So I painted my background color. I already started fading down into my pink and fading my pink up a little bit. And then I just added some pink for a layer on top of the purple. I did do the base layer of the flowers. And so when I add my technique to it, I'm going to go right up to the edge, and then I'm going to be really careful about the edges when doing my background. Now my leaves have a much more intricate edge. So one way to get clean edges is to do your background, your 10 layers of analogous colors if you're using Van Gogh, Pointillism, or Post-Impressionism. Of course, blending, is a little bit different. So do your whole background. So I get 8 other colors on here. And then I would paint my subject matter on top so I can get super clean edges. So I wanted to show you 2 different ways that you can do that. So if you're going to paint everything your background layer, you just have to be really careful of edges, but I'm going to get my whole background done and then I would do the flower. That way if I do get some paint overlapping, it's not that big of a deal. Okay, so I have my original purple color that I mixed for the background in my container, and I'm going to take a little puddle of that out, maybe a little bit more. Okay, and then always put the lid on it because this paint will dry out. It'll get a little bit thicker. The paint in the containers will, if you have them open a lot, they don't last as long. Okay, so then I'm just going to grab a little piece of another color. So I'm going to grab a little bit of white and then a little bit of red to make a different version of purple. So with this technique, I don't want a lot of water on my brush. If I clean off my brush, then I would, oh, that doesn't even hardly look purple to you guys. Then I would wipe it off on newspaper. Okay, so then I'm gonna go in and start kind of overlapping. So another way to get clean edges is to go right up to the edge and pull away. And maybe I do a little bit there. And so then with a smaller brush, so I put this one in water, and with a smaller brush, get less paint on my brush. Then I can kind of get in, and I probably layer some smaller ones in with my bigger brush strokes. So I'm going to add in, just for size variety a little bit. So one way to get clean edges is to paint your subject matter on top. Another way is to leave it until you have the whole background done. Another way is to go right up to the edge, and then if I were doing like Van Gogh, then I would actually add little dash lines along the edge. If I was doing Pointillism, I would add little dots along the edge. For this one, it's a brush stroke, so it's a little bit more kind of thinking of placement and where can I touch it along the edge. I can kind of turn my brush a little bit. So for the leaves, I'm going to just add a couple. And I would, that edge isn't going to be hard to see, so then when I paint it, I'll get a clean edge covering that up. So I don't want to lose this jaggedy edge. I want to be a little careful there, but in the sides and edges, so I'm going to go right up to the edge and add a little brush stroke. And I could overlap just a little bit. Here I'm going to be a little more careful. I'll probably definitely use a smaller brush. While you have that color on your brush, you also need to paint the edges. So while I have that color, and I kind of paint a little bit on the corner as well. And so as I'm going up to the top, then I'm going to flip my canvas up and I'm going to paint. You can kind of see I already did that with the pink. Sorry. Paint a couple. I kind of wipe off my brush a little bit. Paint a couple onto the top. So then I would get my whole background done for me. Then I would do my technique on the flower. The leaves, I'm gonna wait until everything's done and then go back and do the leaves. All right, so then for this color, I have this purple, which I think I'm gonna do like a layer of like the brush strokes like this for consistency, but then I'll come back and do pointillism on top. So since I'm gonna use a smaller brush for that. I'll wipe off my brush with water. Let's see. I'm gonna change direction. I'm gonna kind of plan that out. So if it's a small area, I kind of did an underlayer of bigger brush strokes, and then I'm gonna come back and I would even, while I have this on my brush, I do a couple, especially in the areas where it's hard to get that bigger brush in there, so that I have variety of size in the background. So I'm gonna layer some of these colors onto my brown. That way I have variety within the brown. And I'll do some different browns, some dark pinks, etc. So I have like repetition of color and I don't just have just browns there, because that's kind of boring visually to look at. And the whole point is to use a lot of analogous colors. So remember, while you have it on your brush, do the edges, do the bottom, do the curve a little bit, like where it curves over, and do the sides. All right, good luck. There will be one more video more towards the end about kind of refining and cleaning up edges, and probably bringing back some of your original color, so it's the colors that you kind of wanted it to be in the beginning, etc. Don't forget to fill your palette with your primary colors out of your containers, because that's what you're going to pull to add to your puddles from your colors that are mixed, like this one I mixed up, and then you're going to pull colors off of your palette to create all of your analogous colors. So I would use up all of that, and then I would add like another color to it so I had to get a different version of purple or pink, etc. Okay, have fun, put on some music, enjoy yourself.